It had been teased for multiple days. Teased Sunday night. Teased Monday morning. But not until today was a new quarterback anointed. White smoke billowed out of the plumes of the Browns' practice facilities, and Dillon Gabriel will be quarterback number 41 to start a game for the Browns, the quarterback position since 1999. How excited are you?
Dude, I thought they were going to wait until having like tea and scones over there in London to make that announcement. I don't know what
it is.
Took
Everyone
so long.
knows it's a tea and scones kind of move.
Like, dude,
you put your scones on the table, you have some tea, and then you
very classy. Like, we're going to our third round pick. Took this guy in the top 100, you know? I'm excited because I feel like I have to be, because the offense was so bad with Dillon Gabriel that with Joe Flacco, that I hope Dillon Gabriel could provide quite literally anything else to this entire operation. However, there's this like thought in the back of my mind that I'm having a very tough time shaking, that the offensive line still can't really block all that well. The wide receivers can't really catch the football all that well. And maybe the juice that Dillon Gabriel could bring may improve some of that stuff, but my fear that I can not shake is that the rest of the offense might still actually just be really bad.
We're at a really interesting point for them to make this decision, where if you said today, if the Browns came out and leaked it to one of their national reporters, because God forbid they give the biggest story in Cleveland to one of the hardworking people who are on flights to London right now. No. Give that to either a nobody, or make sure to give that to like Ian Rappaport. Real classy job there.
RG3 had it last night. RG3 had it first.
Yeah, no, everyone had it, because that's how long. I love that they're like, we put a lot of thought into this. It's like you made your decision up on Monday. But if they came out through their many trusted national besties who say nice things about them on command, if they came out and said this was about finding out what we have in Dillon, I would believe them. If at the same point, the same reporter came out and said, no, the Browns think that this will spark the Browns offense, I also think that I would believe them. Because the truth is, this is so early in the season to go to a late third-round pick. This is absolutely a Hail Mary on competitiveness. And here's the thing. Like, this is, as much as I like Joe Flacco, you weren't going to win with Joe Flacco as he was playing. The only way that you might have been able to loosen the purse strings a little bit, but the only way to take some of the pressure off him is to let him go out there and cook, at which point maybe he'd throw 5 interceptions in a game. So it's funny. I tend to think it's not enough to make the right decision at the right time. You've got to make the right decision at the right time for the right reason. And I think how this thing will go from here, the players are going to tell you. If it was too early for Dillon Gabriel, you're going to find out on Sunday. If it was right on time, you're going to find out on Sunday. Like, Joe is not the only problem with the offense. He wasn't the biggest problem with the offense. He was a problem. And specifically, he was a problem in 2 ways that Dillon's supposedly not supposed to be.
Could I guess them?
Yeah, let's go ahead and give him a guess.
Problem number 1, Joe Flacco statue. Mm-hmm. And that's not, we're building a statue of Joe Flacco. It's that Joe Flacco is a statue in the pocket.
You don't need to build one.
So
we've already got one called Joe Flacco.
So the other one I'm going to say is the turnovers.
That's another. You're very wizened. Is this the last time we worked together? You nailed it like a split hog. No, I mean those were the 2 things that he's supposed to do. And the truth is, I don't know that the locker room's behind this. No one can know. They can say the locker room. I've heard the locker room say it since 1999 that they're behind this. Sure, let's see on Sunday. But the truth is, this was a lot more about Joe Flacco than it was about Dillon Gabriel. Joe Flacco in the offense was non-functional in 2 of the, and you could maybe even make the case in 3 of the 4 games, and you still ended up winning one of them. I think they know that they're a little lucky to be 1-3 right now. They also might tell you with 1 extra play against Cincinnati, maybe you're 2-2 now, and Joe doesn't get benched. But the truth is, the longer Joe went without having a good enough game, the sooner we were getting into this. So I can't tell you that I'm all that surprised watching the offense on Sunday against Detroit look hapless is probably too bright of praise for it, to then turn it over to a pint-sized third-round pick quarterback who your guess is as good as anybody else's, how much of a change he's really going to affect for this team.
I'm deciding to go in glass half full. I don't know why, to be honest. It's completely blind glass half full, and understanding that if he can be Dak Prescott, if he can be an outlier third-round pick that can pop at the quarterback position for the Browns, boy, does Andrew Berry look really good. Because this draft class has shown you that Andrew Berry's worth keeping around because of how well all of these rookies have performed. But if he looks closer to Dorian Thompson-Robinson, that's when things get scary, because to me, I'm looking at Kevin Stefanski as, this is your 6 of this entire thing. You're an offensive-minded head coach. The term quarterback whisperer, offensive guru, all of that stuff has been thrown around. So to me, when I look at that and I'm looking at a third-round pick that Kevin Stefanski allegedly really likes, and you're inserting him into the game, then he better perform pretty well. Otherwise, I have questions about the entire operation, not just the quarterback.
I mean, you should already have those questions, in fairness.
I just think that this working can prevent those questions from surfacing.
I still think those questions are going to be pretty spot on. I think too many people, I'm not saying you're doing this because we've only been talking about this for a couple of minutes.
Yeah.
I do think too many people are locked into what about this year, as if the failures or successes of the first 5 years wasn't enough to make a decision on Kevin Stefanski when it comes to let's have a functional offense and let's try and compete. This is the Hail Mary for that. And even if you don't go from Dillon to Shador the way I think some people design it up, and maybe you go Dillon, Flacco, maybe another little bit of Dillon, and then maybe a Shador, or you don't hit Shador until the last 2 or 3 games of the season. Whatever it was, this was always a distinct possibility, and what makes it most interesting is how quickly they pulled that. And I think it is absolutely fine today if every fan out there is saying, man, I got hope. Dillon Gabriel's playing. I got hope. My word of warning is hope goes away real quick. Yeah. Hope for the backup quarterback lasts until the next game. And this game just became the most important game on your docket. If you look functional but you lose, not the world's biggest deal. But the scenario you drew up, which is we actually take a step back offensively and then we lose considerably on the road.
I can't shake that, man.
That's where the season takes a hard right, and good luck getting this damn thing back on the track.
Dude, because people say all the time, and with this Joe Flacco conversation, I've heard it for weeks and weeks. The quote that's been thrown around is, it can't get any worse. I'm like, have you guys watched Cleveland Browns football over the last 2 decades? It could always get worse. That's the one phrase that you never throw out. I've seen quarterbacks melt down worse than what Joe Flacco's been. Joe Flacco's been immobile. Joe Flacco's been inaccurate. He's been unable to move the football, but I've certainly seen worse.
I mean, I've seen completely unplayable.
Especially
Joe was one step above completely unplayable. But let's not paint this to be like if Dillon Gabriel goes out there and stinks, there's just a world in which we say, oh, this offense was just designed to stink, right? If we take away the statuesque quarterback, if we take away the turnover machine, and the results don't change, then we've just arrived at your caca, and the rest of the season will be, can we arrive at something adjacent to playable? If you just say, we need to do everything differently, he's not wrong, Nick. He's got some points there about how bad, and I think that's what's lost. Like when I've heard people talk about the Browns situation, and typical same Browns making this decision at quarterback. You might end up being right on that. You might be. But you can't tell me that 4 weeks in, this is where they thought the offense would be, because it's not just bad. It's not functional. And if you cannot function, you're giving no one, most specifically that defense, a chance to win on any one of these games.
Yeah, it's really that simple, dude. And I know a lot of people remember in the Hugh Jackson times when people would get so sick of the Ken responses.
I like that you said that like it was 30 years ago.
I mean, it was just it's like an era that's been buried and forgotten, and I think for good reason. But I remember in those days, people would hate.
I remember the times of COVID, back in the dewy slopes of 2020.
People would hate. People would
I was still old then. I'm old now.
People would hate when Hugh would just do the gotta watch the tape, this, that, the third, and I think
we got one of those from Kevin this week,
and some
I
of
was like, oh man,
some of that's starting to creep in with Kevin, where people are like, okay, well, you continue to say that you have to play better, you have to coach better, you have to block better, you have to do everything better offensively, and the thing is, though, I don't know that this is a canned response. I think the offense is that putrid right now that he's being honest. They have to do everything better. It's been that busted.
Yeah, and I think, for every reason that Joe Flacco was named the starter week 1, which is he's a veteran, he's been there before, he knows what the expectations are, he knows how to ride the highs and lows of the first few weeks, none of that stopped, or all of that stopped giving you any small modicum of benefit when he just became unplayable. This is where I do think the Browns' hands were tied a little bit. You can't do anything with not playable. You can't do anything with non-functional. Do I know that Dillon's got it? No. As a matter of fact, of the 2 quarterbacks you've got on this roster that might be here in a year, he's the one I believe less of. But if I'm to believe what they liked about him in the pre-draft process, he's walking into a situation that's better fit for him than it was for Joe. Hey, we want you to check down, and we want you to not turn the ball over. That's not Joe Flacco. That's Dillon Gabriel, right? Hey, we want you, you got to make the right reads up front. But if you made the wrong read and and pressure hit you off the backside, you got to move around to buy yourself an extra second to get the ball out cleanly, right? Even the procedural stuff. I think that was another, nail in the coffin of Joe. There was some procedural stuff late in that game that told you those guys were really starting to check out on the idea they could win. Mistakes that they had not made the first 3 weeks. I listen, they will be judged on whether it works or not. Yep. And they should be, because you got 5 years before this decision. This does feel like the decision of, all right, we gotta try something in the same vein. We got to give these guys a chance to win in the locker room. That was the Joe Flacco logic going into week 1. This was, we got to give these guys a chance to win before it gets too late, where all of a sudden we're in evaluation mode across the board.
Dude, and not to mention, you got 13 more games to go, just to get to the finish line of this thing. So there's 2 sides of that. There's one side of that's a pretty nice sample size. And if Dillon Gabriel does play well, it's okay, you played well over 13 games. That's really good. And that's something that we could build off of for the future. Inversely, if things don't go well, it brings up the scary question of where do you go from here? Because you got to at least find a way to compete in all of these. You got to find a way to at least field a team in all of these games. And if things go poorly, obviously, they named Joe Flacco the backup quarterback this week. Do you go back to Joe? And then what message does that send? All of this gets very spooky very early if things don't work well for Dillon Gabriel. And I hate putting that much pressure on a 3rd-round pick. This is supposed to be a developmental guy. When you look at 3rd-round quarterbacks, you're looking at the Desmond Ritters of the world more often than you're looking at the Dak Prescotts of the world. There are a reason why most starting quarterbacks in the league were 1st-round picks. Could we pause the show for a moment? Because people are big mad. People are not just a little bit mad. People are big mad that Shador, and if you haven't seen the video, he was asked about Dillon Gabriel being the starting quarterback. He was asked about the fact that he was still the 3rd string and Flacco was the backup, and he didn't answer anything. Instead, he mimed his answers like with his hands and just mouthed words.
That's how one mimes.
And it was funny. It was funny. And that
just hearing you describe it was pretty funny to me.
Obviously, that comes off the heels of everybody kind of construing what he said last week, and that he said that he was ready to play, and that meant that he was prepared to go on the field whenever that time came. But Rex Ryan took that and ran with it in a completely awkward direction. So, everybody's proving Shador Sanders' point that anything that he does or says will be used against him.
Specific to the Shador thing, which we will get to in exhausting detail later in today's show.
So mad about it, bro.
The people talking about Shador now instead of Dillon Gabriel are the same people that when we talked about Shador in camp said, why are you talking about Shador? He's a 3rd-string quarterback. The homers have only been replying. I have not heard too many of the Shahive Go on the offensive, Shador. They have just been playing the defensive. I'm sure we'll get into that, but here's my beware of what's ahead for Dillon Gabriel. It is important that he wins on Sunday. The reality is, if they play better but still don't win, and that's the way we talk about this for the next 6 weeks, we're going to be seeing Shador at the end of 6 weeks' time. It's that simple. The difference between Gardner Minshew as a rookie and, let's say, somebody who kept their job was winning. Gardner Minshew, statistically, in Jacksonville, that rookie year as a 6th-round pick, was fine. He was decent. He was inoffensive, right? Didn't have enough wins, so they moved on from him in a completely different direction, which ended up being the Trevor Lawrence direction. So winning is really, we can say, well, we got to get to functional. Well, that's the first thing. Sunday is about functionality. Can you be a functional offense? But here's where it gets really dicey. It doesn't stay functional forever. There is a statute of limitations on how long functional is. I would guess it's somewhere between 2 to 3 nice games. And then after that, it becomes, well, what can you do more than functional? And then we're going to keep doing that until we get you to the highest level of the escalator, which is, are you a franchise quarterback or not? At which point, if it's no, most fans are going to throw you off the ride. So the truth is, and this is where I think the Browns have to understand it, unless he is Brock Purdy, right? Unless he is Tom Brady. And I know Tom Brady didn't play until his 2nd year, but hear me out. Unless he's a guy that's ready to come in and win and play well, and we're talking about that's what takes the narrative over the next 4 to 5 weeks, we're going to have an up and down, a seesaw kind of year. We just replaced the Baker Wars for the Watson Wars. Well, now we're in the Gabriel small skirmish until it becomes a larger battle. But that's where we are, and the goalposts that we have for this kid today will not be the goalposts we have in 3 weeks' time, depending on how well he plays from here on out.
Agreed. Right now, I think if you polled Browns fans on what does Dillon Gabriel need to do for you to be encouraged by his performance on Sunday, people will give you the most vanilla answers imaginable. People would tell you
the Dillon Gabriel answers.
Yeah,
would you say?
Well, that's funny. They would be like, if he could just get a couple of first downs, if he could move the football down the field. He's just got to
take one series at a time.
Hit the layups. Hey, I love that one.
Hey, this is not about one guy. This is about 11 guys working together as a team. Yeah, all right. Come on now. Come on.
Get all the coach speak in there.
Hey, to the degree of my short issues, there's a fella, you might have heard of him once upon a time, biblical times. Called him David. Did pretty well against Goliath. Thank you very much.
He did.
He's a tiny little guy. See? So I just basically gave Dillon, I would say, 10 strong minutes before or after the game on Sunday. You're welcome.
Oh, Brian Flores might be licking his chops, dude.
Well, it is how I recall that Brian is not the biggest fan of undersized, left-handed throwing quarterbacks with Samoan bloodlines. I'm just saying.
I remember that from somewhere. Where could it have been?
He might, just kind of skits out on Sunday and just be like, Tua, we must break him. And it's like, no, he's no longer your quarterback. You don't have to break him, but still go ahead and do that because he's the other team's
ours
quarterback.
now, and we didn't spend a first round pick on him.
This time, the funny thing is, ruining this left-handed, slight Samoan quarterback might get you a job, whereas the last time you did it, it cost you your job. Football's cyclical. Yeah.
It is a twisted game, and this is a sickness. The fact that, by Sunday, I will talk myself into that Dillon Gabriel can have this offense functioning and that they're going to win.